Now, when I ask someone, what is the biggest thing holding you back from hitting your next goal or from stepping into that next version of yourself? A crazy amount of people have said it comes down to time management and discipline. But here's the thing, is that when we look at the root cause to what is causing your mismanagement of time, to what is calling your avoidance of doing the things that you truly want to do, but find a hard time putting the action in. When we get to the root of it, it goes down to the beliefs that you have about yourself, the beliefs that you have about life. And your brain has the programmings to do what it can to keep you alive, right? Your brain is programmed for survival. And stay with me here, because this is going to go full circle with becoming a great manager of your time and having the amazing discipline that you want, is that if you have a belief that you may not even be consciously aware of yet, that correlates anything in your dream life with any kind of danger or discomfort, with putting yourself out there, with making bigger moves, with scaling up to bigger positions in the company, to starting your own business or starting another business, or becoming more well-known for your craft or for your singing. It all requires a new level of you. And if your subconscious senses danger in putting yourself out there, in being seen, in being perceived, it is going to do what it can to hold you back, to stop you from going in that direction, because it has a red siren going off saying, danger, danger, there's danger over there. Let's not step into it. And so your heart is saying, I feel really called to start this business. I feel really called to grow in this area of my life and to go after my passions. But your brain is saying, nope, let's procrastinate. Let's make things really overwhelming for you. Let's, give you brain fog and make you confused on what next steps you need to take, and always make you question yourself and always make you doubt, because we're trying to hold you back. We're trying to keep you safe, right? There's something really dangerous there. Your subconscious mind controls 90 to 95% of your thoughts, of your emotions, of your behaviors, of your actions, of your habits. 90 to 95%. And so it will be difficult to, 1, become aware of it, 2, have enough willpower to fight against it, and 3, not burn yourself out by fighting against yourself. There's a much easier path. There's a much easier way, and it's getting your brain in alignment with your heart's desires. What's up? What's going on? My name is Sabrina, and welcome back to the channel. Here in the Better You space, we teach creatives, dreamers, and entrepreneurs how to train their brains to turn their daydreams into their real daily lives. If you didn't know, I'm coming out with a monthly membership where you're going to have access to daily brain trainings to rewire your identity, rewire your beliefs, change your story, and quantum leap into the reality that you want to live in. It's going to include a course that has the fundamentals to guide you how to clear your brain from past programmings that are not serving you anymore, how to step into and embody this new identity, and making an action plan that's aligned with your intuition and that actually works. The membership is also going to come with a bomb-ass tight-knit community so that you can meet like-minded people on your journey to becoming a better you. Click the link in the description to find out more. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up to help out the channel, subscribe, and hit the bell button to be notified every time I post a new one. Share it with a friend, and let's get into it. So you are trying to listen to your heart. You're trying to follow your passions. Your heart is trying to go in one direction and saying, yes, yes, yes. Meanwhile, your brain is coming in with its survival mechanisms and shutting you down. It's making you double guess yourself. It's making you trip over your words. It's making you procrastinate, and you're tired of fighting against yourself. I get that. I've been there. I'm so passionate about this, which is why I make content all around it. But I feel like a lot of people in this day and age still do not realize the crazy impact that our upbringing has in molding our belief systems, in molding our identity, in molding what our everyday emotional baseline is, how we feel on an everyday basis, what we expect out of life. When we grow up from specifically the ages of 0 to 7, your brain acts like a sponge. It absorbs all of the information around you, from your parents to your neighbors to what they see on TV. As a child, you take everything in as is. Everything is yes. Your brain agrees to everything it sees, and it creates this meaning behind every circumstance that you experience, because it's doing its best to conceptualize everything so that it can grow up and be able to have a good realization of what living on Earth is like, right? These are great mechanisms to have as a human being who is like growing and evolving into its childhood. But because of the power of our brain and our awareness and our consciousness and how what we put our awareness on affects the molecular structure of the atoms around you, right? The law of attraction, where your focus and awareness goes, energy flows, you are changing the way that matter moves around you through your own perception, your own beliefs, your own identity, right? And so if you watch my other video on how emotions are the lens of which you view life out of, this really ties with that. And to say, when you're in those very spongy moments as a child, and something happens in your life where you experience a high emotional charge, your brain takes a screenshot of that moment, because if you experience a high emotional charge, your brain is saying, this must be very important. This must be I must need this in order to survive. This could be very important information. So it takes that screenshot and also takes note and like hold onto that emotion that was given towards that situation. And I call this an energetic knot, because if you experience a low vibrational emotion towards this experience and created a belief that is equivalent to that emotion, so it is a belief that is equally constricting. It is a belief that is equally vibrationally low. This energy is now in your energetic field, and it lowers your overall baseline, your overall emotional baseline, energetic baseline. And now you are viewing life out of this skewed belief system. And by your awareness and your focus, you are manifesting and creating a life that is not what you want. It feels constricting. It might feel frustrating, or it might not just be to the greatness that you desire it to be. And people do not realize that it is because of past programming. And what is so fucking powerful is when we can go back and the subconscious, right? And I promise I'm going to get it back to time management and discipline. But the subconscious stores all information. The subconscious is incredibly intelligent. It stores all information and all memories from everything that you have experienced in your life. Think of it as like files in a file cabinet sitting in your subconscious mind, the part of your mind that you are not consciously aware of. And so your subconscious mind knows what belief systems were instilled at what age and what memory it happened, or what consistent patterns it had experienced for it to build up the experience so strong to create a belief that now no longer serves you. And so you can actually command the subconscious mind or use specific methods, or even sometimes just through journaling alone, you can dive into the subconscious mind and open it and allow it to tell you where a belief came from, so that you can neutralize it, so that you can rewire it, so that you can change the story, so that you can take the emotion that was connected to that energetic knot, and you can dissolve that and transmute that energy. So for example, a very basic one that I see a lot of people struggle with, and that has definitely come up for me as well, is the belief that in order to get what you want, it has to be hard. You have to struggle in order to like be deserving or be worthy to get what you really want, or that life is just hard. There's always going to be some kind of struggle. And it's when you believe something, you have so much emotion behind it, right? When you believe something, you know, the more you believe it, the more emotion you have behind it. The more emotion you have behind it, the more you believe it. They're tied hand in hand. And so when you really, really believe something, no one can convince you otherwise. You have this like grip held onto the belief, and you're like, no, this is what I believe. This is what I have experienced. This is the truth that I've been living by for X amount of years, that I've seen, right? So many times. Like, there's no way. Like, I so doubt that there's any other reality, but like, it has to be hard. Right? That's something that you really, really believe hardcore. And when you do this kind of past programming clearing work, and you go back to the original thing and you clear out the emotion, you neutralize that knot in your brain and in your field, you release the grip. It brings a belief to a very neutral standpoint, and you're almost like looking at it from a like bird's eye view of like, oh, like just noticing it, right? Like, oh, I see that I have a belief that I would have to struggle to get what I want, or that things have to be really, really hard. But I also see that there are other beliefs. And now you have like a clean slate to create a new story. And it can become very, very easy to rewire your brain into realizing the actual truth to life is that, and that I am still learning, is that you get to live in flow and you get to do things that make you feel alive and energized. And it doesn't have to feel like a struggle. And actually, when it feels like you're in a struggle, that's when you're not in alignment with your true self, with your true purpose and your true power. And we're not meant to actually struggle. We're not meant to actually suffer, right? That is a warning sign that we are veering off path. And then as you begin to instill these beliefs, right, we have the reticular activating system inside of the brain. And this is the filter in your brain that takes all of the, I believe it's 20 million bits of information at every given second that's going on around you. And it takes just 20 bits of information from that 20 million based off of what it already believes to be true, what it has a lot of emotion behind, and what has been repeated. So your brain works as this confirmation bias, pointing out what it already expects and believes to be true, changing the matter around you, changing the atomic structure around you to match your belief system, to mold and create a world and a life experience that is equal to that belief system. Because that's where your awareness is at, is on this, right? And the key to having more time management and discipline, this is where I come full circle, is not to be more strict on yourself, more harsh on yourself, have more deadlines and spend less time with your family and be a really hard critic on yourself and just tell yourself that you have to do these things, right? That's not the way. That's like if your car's engine is broken, that's like you going in and like changing out the oil and you're like, okay, it'll run just a little better and I'm doing something, right? But it's not actually getting to the root. The root is stemmed from those core belief systems that change your neural pathways to view life from this perspective. Having beliefs that don't serve you, having shame in any area of your life, having any fear that contradicts that it is actually safe and a good thing for you to step into these big dreams and big goals that you have. All of that will cause you to create a life where you do not experience that, period. And you will find yourself procrastinating and you will find yourself not being able to manage your time. So even if you do try to be a hard ass on yourself and you do try to have the perfect schedule and make sure that you're doing all of the things and taking all of the action and you feel like you're burning yourself out on a day-to-day basis, you're doing all of those things, more obstacles are going to come up for you. And I'm not going to say like this is like the end all be all, but more often than not, right? Your brain creates what it's programmed to. And so many people are not aware of these underlying beliefs that are stopping them simply because it's in our subconscious, simply because not enough people are talking about them. But when you train yourself out of those fears, when you go back to that original incident or original memory, not that you have to relive any bad thing that happened to you, because you won't in these practices, and you go and you neutralize the emotion that's behind it. When you give yourself that energetic emotional liberation, you have so much playing field to create and write a new story. That's when you can tell yourself, oh yes, this goal is already mine. Oh yes, I feel so alive and so aligned, and I'm attracting synchronistic opportunities towards me all the time. And I'm feeling full of love and full of gratitude. And you begin to embody that at such a faster rate. It becomes effortless and you step into your natural standpoint of being a powerful manifester, of being a natural strong magnet, because now you've freed yourself of all of the bricks that you've had carrying around on your back for however many years. And I want to share a story of just how this has impacted my life, because I have shared on my YouTube channel more than once how I've been on the same journey of my brain basically being against me going after my dreams because of so many fears that I had and so many worries that I had and doubts and what are people going to think of you, right? I was terrified to post my first YouTube video, even though my intuition was like yelling at me, get on YouTube. And so as we all do, as we are all students of life, I've been learning the same lesson and going through similar things just on like deeper layers, right? And deeper levels. And more recently, I noticed myself hit another cap of feeling this almost like overwhelm when it came to following my purpose, when it came to taking action on the things that I really wanted to. I kept feeling like continuing my podcast, like continuing YouTube videos and serving my clients in the ways that I truly want to. And this feeling of overwhelm was like really getting to me. And I noticed old patterns started to come up of the procrastination, the avoidance of doing the things I really want to. Even if I was being a hard ass on myself and I sat myself down and was like, I'm not getting up until, X, Y, and Z is done. I would have tech issues, things would fail. And I've noticed that I have the biggest tech issues, that my clients have the biggest tech issues. Things don't go through, payments won't send when they're in a state of resistance, meaning their entire energy field is not saying yes. Part of their energy field or all of their energy field, depending on the situation, may actually be saying no. And now this resistance can be due to the soul actually not being aligned with it, or due to the brain being programmed for survival reasons and it just being scared and it having the energy of those fears, creating that energetic resistance. And I saw, and the latter is what I was dealing with. And so when I was in Bali, I lived in Bali for a couple months over the summer, and I ran into a beautiful, beautiful soul. Her name is Arujan, and she lives in Kazakhstan, and she was visiting Bali. And just side note, it was so beautiful to run into someone. One, I was a solo traveler in Bali, so I didn't have anyone with me. So it was great to connect with like-minded people, but to also have someone who lives typically on the other side of the world, but she also listened to Dr. Joe Dispenza. She also had like the same little mannerisms as I did. And we could just like have a conversation and like crack up talking, even though English is not even her first language. Like to me, it was so beautiful to connect with someone who lives on the other side of the world in that way, because it's really showing me how much we really are the same with everyone who's on the planet. Like all of us just want to live happy lives. All of us just want to be happy in our relationships and do what we love and do our passions. And none of us want to be trapped in a job or circumstance that we don't like. And all of us want to be safe and loved. And we all have our own fears. And so I started working with her when I was in Bali. And she is, I would describe her as like a subconscious, intuitive energy healer, where she just goes so deep on what I call energetic knots, and she finds those and she helps you to clear those out. And now I also do that work with my clients, but it's so important that I feel we all have our own guides and mentors and teachers and healers that we go to, because your growth just expands so much when you have someone help you and you accept that, and there's that energetic exchange. Through my time of working with her, and I still am working with her, there were crazy memories that came up from my childhood that many were not even traumatic at all. Many were very little things that I may have experienced growing up. And just this little experience created with however my child brain created meaning for the situation, created this belief and perspective on life. And then I started to view life in this constricted way without even realizing it. We were in a session one day in Bali at the waterfalls. It was so beautiful. And we found this little private spot, and we were deep in a session, and we were tapping into the discomfort that I kept feeling when I tried to move forward in my projects and the things that I'm passionate about. And it was like this tightness feeling that I was feeling in my head. And when we dove into it, we found that I was carrying doubt that I was capable to achieve what I wanted, not because it was my own doubt, but I picked up on this doubt from another family member who was carrying this doubt. And I saw this family member who was carrying this doubt, and I witnessed them, and my subconscious mind somehow in the mix, as I was a child, took on that belief system just from witnessing them, took on that energy just from being around them and that energy. And side note, which is why I believe that everyone should be aware of and have very strong energetic boundaries and be very aware of like where their energy is going and whether what they're feeling is truly their energy or if it's someone else's energy, and having that discernment. All in all, when you feel resistance come up, obstacles, blocks come up in the way of you achieving your goal, and you see it come up and you're able to get to the root of it and free yourself from that, you can then very easily create a new story from that, manifest an entire new reality from that. And it doesn't have to be with nearly as much force, with nearly as much pressure. Actually, that's when you'll really start to see the universe conspire in your favor. Synchronicities will come in. Checks will be coming in. I'm telling you, people pop into your sphere that are like just so synchronistic into helping you reach your desires and your goals. And the obstacle of having that time management and discipline will be so minuscule. It will not be some like heavy heaving hard thing or frustrating thing to think about. You will be living in much more flow because the energy is now able to align through your body because it's not getting caught up with your different fears and doubts, right? The energy is flowing. You're able to live in flow. You're able to work through your tasks, wake up at the time that you need to. Things work out. Things flow synchronistically, right? Family member calls you just at the right time. Your client reaches out to you just at the right time. You feel this aliveness and excitement and this, you have devotion rather than having to be a hard ass and disciplined towards yourself. You have this heart opening devotion where it's like you want to, this yearning to want to move forward on these things where nothing can stop you. Right? When you align your brain with your desires, nothing can stop you because now your full vessel is going towards it. And again, the universe will conspire in your favor when you are in this energetic point. So I know this was not your typical how to be savvy with your time and how to acquire the trait of discipline. If you want a more practical video on that, you can watch my video here where I actually talk about 10 tips to increase your productivity and focus and presence. If you want to go deeper, the Better Your Mind membership is where to go. You'll have the teachings, the trainings, and the tight-knit community to assist you in training your brain to turn your dreams into reality. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up and subscribe. Hit the bell button to be notified when I post a new one. Share this with a friend, and I will see you in the next video.